This is For Home in Heaven, a podcast about living faithfully in the everyday with eternity in mind.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to For Home in Heaven. I'm Mary.
And I'm Noah.
And today we kind of have a lighthearted episode that we thought would be kind of fun. We're going to talk about animals, right? I'm not an animal lover, but I love the fact that they sustain us. They teach our kids great lessons. They teach me patience and they feed our family. So, we're talking about animals. Specifically, though, animals that we do recommend and animals that we do not recommend. And just to preface this, I am a newer homesteader. I've been homesteading since we got married, actually, in Connecticut. We had our first house in Connecticut. Noah has been homesteading his whole life. I know we've mentioned that a couple times, but just to kind of reiterate, I'm newer, he's older, and this is just our experience of animals that have worked well for our family and animals that have not worked well for our family. So we're going to kind of go with something like that today.
Well, and I guess too, it's more so framing it around like animal, like if you have never homesteaded or if you have and you've like just done gardens, you're looking to get animals, it's kind of more like the first animals you should get into. So that's more of the framing of this. Like some of these animals like we have not done or we're just gonna say like no to, but that's more no as a first animal. Like I think there's some animals that kind of it's a crawl, walk, run kind of setup. And I think too, this is not going to be a comprehensive list. I think what we'll do is like what we have experience with. Like Mary said, I have experience with a lot more animals, but so kind of a little bit of our experience as to what that looks like. Some of these animals we don't have as much experience with, but just kind of giving our kind of opinion and overview based on our past experience and then just stuff we know through others.
Yeah. So it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting. So we're going to chat about that. But before we begin our episode, we would like to do our, what are they called? Harvest and droughts.
Yeah.
We're going to do our harvest and droughts, which I can guarantee you Noah has not thought of until this very moment when I put him on the spot. I have my harvest and my drought, though.
Then you go for it.
Okay. My harvest, which is a thing I'm excited about, a good thing I've been looking forward to, yada, yada, whatever. I can't talk about the temperatures because I did that the last time. Okay, actually, let me start with my drought because I don't think I have my harvest. I have my drought, though. My drought is, if you guys follow our Instagram page, our Instagram account, if you will, I've shared on there kind of briefly a little bit about like our like healthy living and things like that. And specifically, like I've shared about my journey with bariatric surgery and whatever. So I'm like just over 2 years post-op. If you want to hear all about that, head to Instagram. The Dallas Terra Farm on Instagram, and have a whole highlight about it. But long story short, I'm over 2 years post-op. I'm like, I don't know, 2 years and 2 months or something like that. And my food noise has come back in full circle, full swing. My food noise and my cravings. Part of that, I'm like, is it because I'm nursing a baby? Is it because I'm 6 months postpartum? I'm not really sure. But I feel like I'm back where I was pre-surgery and all I do is fixate on food and focus on food. And as somebody who like totally has a history with like foods and, the whole mentality and, all that stuff with it, whatever, it's totally tripping my brain out. So that and or body dysmorphia, both. So that I would say that's kind of my drought right now. And I know how to get out of it. I know I'm not the weight I was or the way I looked or how unhealthy I was when I first started. And I know that, but when it's like consuming, it's kind of hard. So I would say that's my drought is I'm just really struggling with having to like cancel out some of those thoughts. I'm not so great at it right now, but we're going to get there. So that would be my drought. Do you have a drought yet or no?
Mine are kind of like interrelated, so I'll wait for your harvest.
Well, I don't know if I have a harvest yet.
Well, that's really a Debbie Downer, but
I will have one. I just got to think of the best one. Oh, actually, no, I do have a harvest. It's about food though, funny enough. Okay, funny enough, but it's a good harvest. So fun fact for you, we are recording the day before Thanksgiving. And my daughter, Ava, and I have been watching Farmhouse Home Boone on YouTube for a long time. And she, as in Lisa, has a pumpkin cheesecake we've been dreaming about for probably 4 weeks at this point. Ava and I have been dreaming about this. And so I made that today. It's currently sitting in the fridge for tomorrow. That's a big dessert. Usually desserts at our house is like a chocolate chip cookie, but like a pumpkin cheesecake, I'm not just making that every week for fun. So and again, food noise. That's hilarious how I'm talking about food. Doesn't matter. We all love good food. It's all good ingredients, moderation, whatever. But that I would say that's my harvest. As silly as that sounds, That, and I think just, like, having the time with our kids tomorrow for Thanksgiving. We're not really doing anything crazy by all means, but just kind of have that. I'm a tradition person. I like to have traditions with our kids, and we like to start those things at a young age. So I think tomorrow, just indulging in, some yummy homemade food, spending the day as a family, working on the homestead. I would say that's my harvest. That's my harvest.
That's good. I think, mine similarly are kind of interrelated like Mary's. So mine, like the drought would be like lots of stuff going on. I think like all good things, but like again, like lots of stuff with kids, like lots of stuff with the job, lots of stuff with this business, and then a lot of just outside things that like need to get done that have been kind of taking up a lot of time. So lots of overwhelming things going on, which I think that was my drought last time, if I'm not mistaken. So it continued. But the harvest, kind of related to that is that, with the holiday season, the new job I'm in, one of the awesome things about it is that they have like a very, very generous PTO policy. And so able to take a lot of time off between like now and middle of January. And so now I only have 2 jobs, and so but for me, that's actually awesome. So will not know what to do with an extra 40 hours in my week. So, no, so I'm super excited about that. We're taking probably between now and middle of January, like 3 full weeks off, and that or 4 actually, including Christmas, and then, a couple of, like, days off here and there. So, like, tomorrow obviously being Thanksgiving and Friday, today I took off, and so I only worked on the side business, so that was only one job, so that's super exciting. So, for
It
me,
was a
that's
calm day. It was only a 9-hour day.
yeah, so only a 9-hour day, well, for work, and then obviously kids is a whole 'nother thing. But anyway, long story short, that's really exciting for me because, that's how I relax is only working a little bit and not a lot of it. So that's, again, interrelated, kind of funny, kind of nerdy, but that's
We're
my
working on it.
my harvest and drought.
I'm like, gotta get more hobbies than just sitting working. You have hobby actually, I should okay, I'm gonna totally take that back. Noah is the man of hobbies. I totally rescind my comment.
But my hobby my ho
Building trebuchets, being on your tractor, doing random things. What was the most recent one? I feel like you were just doing, you're learning how to smoke our meats now on the smoker.
I well, I and then I am now a published Spotify
Oh,
artist.
we should actually link that. An AI song creator, album dropper, if you will.
Yeah, so I,
So I totally rescind what I said about, "No, you need to get more hobbies." You
yeah, no,
literally
that
have more hobbies than I do.
the song thing was kinda funny because like, I, in high school, had a bunch of, like, failed bands, or, like, dream bands that actually never really were did anything. Like, we would practice, and I think we played 1 show ever. Um,
But you actually did?
yeah,
You didn't tell me you guys played a show.
at co-op.
At co-op, at homeschool co-op, we played a show.
Um,
That's so funny. Our
so
kids will be
it
just
was like
like
it
that,
was
get
like
ready.
70 people, so that's, that's not, anything to laugh at, but long story short, I have all these like creative outlet songs that I had like written down over the years, and so this was kind of a cool way to like put them out in 2 different genres that I enjoy. So long story short, there are some good things about AI music, not all bad. I think you can still have kind of artistry to it if you don't have certain like fills in gaps. Anyway,
Yeah.
but to the meat and potatoes of the episode, which was long overdue. We've kind of talked about this episode for quite some time, and then every time we would go to sit down to record an episode, something happens, and so
Or we get too tired.
we get to yeah, that's
Honestly, we get too tired. Like tonight, I was like, I don't know if I want to record. And he's like, well, I'll be in the office working. And then I'm like, oh, well, twist my arm, would you? Come down. Let's record an episode.
yeah.
Let's do
So
it. So
so
here we are.
here we are. All
Here
right.
we are. So we're gonna start. Sorry, I totally just butt you in. I totally just butted in. Is
No, that's fine.
that okay?
I'm used to it. Anyway, animals. Okay, so again, background. So like, Mary has not been raised on like with anything aside from like dogs and a cat.
No,
No
no, no,
cat.
no.
Okay,
Mom
not
was
even a cat.
allergic.
So
No
just
cats.
just dogs.
I had
I
a
grew
beta
up on
fish.
a mini farm. So we had chickens, ducks. I've had chickens, ducks, guinea hens, mini horses, goats, sheep. We never had pigs when I was growing up. My parents have since done pigs, but we never did pigs when I was growing up. Um,
Rabbits. Did you say
Rabbits.
rabbits yet?
I have not said rabbit. That's another good one.
Rabbits. You did
That
those.
speaking of hobbies, that was another fun one. But with all that, so I have a lot of experience with them. And so I think the other thing too to kind of keep in mind is like thinking too, what is the purpose of your homestead? Do you want pets or do you want it to be productive? And so I think that's something that I had to get through my head. So rewind back to, when we first got married, so 6.5 years ago. Um, yeah, that's like, wow. 6.5 years ago, we moved into our house in Willington. So it's 4 acres, I forget 4 acres, but very wooded.
You just name dropped our town.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Um,
Those Skechers out there.
well,
It's okay.
I'm pretty sure you can
We
if you
have the
look.
is it the First Amendment?
I don't wanna get into, any kind of,
Okay, cut this out. Cut that part out. You just name dropped
um,
our town.
th they know where we if you Google our website, they're on our current town is on our website,
Oh, really?
and no one has a last name like Vertife.
You're right.
There's 2 other
They
Noah
could
Vertif
find us, like
yes.
they
Says
don't need Candaceones for that. Just Google it and you got it. Okay. Our editor can decide what he wants to do with all that.
alright, our first, house though, so we had it was a little tiny town up in Connecticut. It was very wooded. I knew I really wanted animals. Mary was not about it.
No.
And
If I had a mind, we would have lived in a little HOA somewhere.
I would have died
But now
inside.
the thought of an HOA makes me wanna gag, not gonna lie, so
But but my thing too is like, okay, animals actually it was on the mind, but like not even sure why. And so we had this hill that was like about an acre covered in brush, and I knew I wanted to clear that hill. And I'm like, well, I could brush hog it, but there's a 45-degree angle, so it's kind of a little bit tough. Didn't have a tractor, so like it was gonna be a really, really manual process. And kind of back to my childhood, I'm like, oh, goats would eat everything.
mhm.
Looking back, it would have taken me a week to probably like start to finish to actually brush hog the whole thing, but I'm like, "Let's get goats." So I convinced Mary to get 2 tiny Nubian goats. Um,
Terrence and I don't remember the other one his name, doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't remember,
They
but
were
but
cute-ish.
yeah, so we got them. They actually did eat the majority of the hill, but again, like, there was no, like, purpose in mind. Like, that was, like it was utilitarian in the sense of, like, of them doing a task, but then we're like, "Okay, then what?" And so we didn't really kinda think that far ahead, and so we ended up butchering them, but, spoiler alert, if you do goats that have, only eaten, like, greenery, does not do good things for the meat, will not
Mhm.
recommend. But all that said, so we've had a lot of experience in kind of setting that frame of reference of why to get animals and, like, what is your end goal for animals. That's, I think, something that's really important when you start kind of stepping into to animals, and so, with all that in mind, I think what we're trying to kind of set the stage for is when you're starting with these animals, it's really about, okay, what can they do for you in the homestead? Like utilitarian way, they're not being pets. Goats might be good pets if you get one or two. But when it's more so kind of something to be productive and kind of integrate into the homestead, probably not the best choice. So, with all that said, I think the first animal that we want to talk about as a good animal is chickens.
Chickens, the classic. Everyone always says, "Someday for Christmas, I want 10 acres, an old farmhouse, and 10 chickens." Everyone wants chickens, right? Because they raise themselves. Chickens are so stupid easy. And as
And just
long
plain stupid.
and they're stupid easy and just plain stupid. It's so true. And now the chickens are a great way to get started if you were someone like me or someone that just, whatever. You want to get started, you got to figure out a coop situation, obviously. You got to figure out nesting box situation, obviously. There's all those things. But if you put all that factors aside, just chickens in general, not only get your feet wet working with livestock. So if you're someone like me who's a little bit uncomfortable with animals and just a little bit more yeah, it just doesn't come naturally or anything like that. Chickens are great because they're smaller, they're easier to handle. That said, I'm not a person that loves up on my chickens. Some people will, like, pet their chickens and, like, our daughters will, like, pet the chickens and wanna pick them up. I'm just like, "Mm-mm, I'm good." Like, I appreciate the animal, I respect the animal, I'll chit chat with them, I'll feed them, but I don't need to be your bestie because 'cause you're livestock at the end of the day. And in worst case, something happens, you give me an egg every day, almost every day, and I give you food. Someday you turn into soup. You know what I mean? It's like whatever. But I will say they are super easy, and if you have all the right things, the right food or whatever, they essentially will just raise themselves, right? With an egg almost every day.
Yeah, and I think too, like, the nice thing is that it's very scalable, so, like, you can do what we've done recently where we have, like, a however many square foot, I have to do the
Oh,
math.
it's huge. I mean, we have currently like what, 48, 47, 48 birds in there. We could fit more if we wanted to. We
Yeah, so,
wouldn't
like
though.
normally, like, the rule of thumb is if you have, like, for the inside coop, like, about 1 to 2 square feet per bird, so it
Mhm.
doesn't actually need to be that big, and then even things like nesting boxes, like, you can start with things like a 5-gallon bucket or like
Cake
a
pans. People will do cake pans, like a 9 by 13 cake pan for, a nesting box, and as long as it's just a little bit off the ground, they're good to go.
yeah, so I think that's the beauty of chickens is that, like, you get your feet wet, you don't need to have a huge investment into the chickens, there's not that much going on, and then also, like, everything like, basically all they need is some kind of shelter, food, and water, and so with all that,
Mhm.
like, you can make a really easy water that or buy one, you can buy a really easy or cheap feeder, make some really easy nesting boxes, and then a really small chicken coop. Like, case in point, when we were in Gastonia for a little bit, in a rental, I basically built like an illegal chicken coop,
Out of,
um,
it
pallets.
was pallets, that's right, it was pallets, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I spent maybe 100
Yes,
bucks on pallets. We had 10 chickens,
it was
made a little,
perfect.
like, PVC pipe run. It was perfect. So, like, again, that cost all in, it was maybe 200 bucks. And so
Does it and I know, like, you see the things on Pinterest, the really beautiful chicken coops, and that's great, but let's be honest, like, you're not gonna be out there mopping and dusting your chicken coop every single day. Like, ours is painted nice, and ours is, like, pretty, I would say, on the outside, but, like, for the most part, like, it's not this $5,000 beautiful chicken coop because that's ridiculous. The amount of money you're gonna get out, like, in eggs and meat and anything like that is nowhere gonna be near the $5,000 you spent on a chicken coop. You know what I mean? It's not. That's the other thing too is, I guess we don't necessarily have to talk about the money aspect of it, but another thing about chickens, that I really like is that it pest control, right? It keeps certain pests down. They'll eat, really anything, ticks, any other bugs that you don't want. Mice, they eat mice, they eat s they could do they eat snakes?
yeah,
They eat snakes. So
table scraps, like,
knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood, we've never had a rat or a mice issue or a snake issue as far as we know in any of our chicken coops, knock on wood. And I think some of that is because we have so many I mean, they're not herbivores, they're omnivores, so they eat everything. Table scraps, like you were saying, like, we get a chicken bucket, and we might take a day or 2 to probably 2 to 3 days to fill it, and once it's filled, it could be the kids' apple cores or leftover bread or chick or food scraps or bones or things like that, and every couple days, they'll get a big old bucket of scraps, and between that and between them, what's it called?
ranging.
Yes, free ranging, thank you. Their yolks, when you get the egg, it is so dark orange, which is so full of nutrients compared to what you'd get at the store. So, like, health-wise, it's great, and food waste, there's no food waste in our house, hardly ever. We never have food waste because it all goes back to the animals. So it's all kind of us working together. So the chickens are great for that, all
Mhm.
of that.
So, chickens are really good. I think if you're thinking of it from a farm business, like, chickens will not make like, you're gonna basically break even. Like, you might actually lose money in some cases, like, you're gonna get eggs. If you had gotten them the same time as the egg prices went out of control, like, then you might break even. Chickens are kind of like a break even. You can find creative ways to feed them. Like, you can do, like, black soldier fly traps and things like that to kind of offset feed costs, but in general, they're typically break even type animal. But again, they're a good way to kinda get your feet wet. You don't have to have a big startup cost. It's more so the ongoing cost is pretty minimal and kinda covers like, it's kind of a net.
That's hens, though. I will say meat birds are a different story. So that I guess that's a lot of that's hens. Meat birds, just a slight variation off of that is if you really find it important to like source your own meat or things like that, meat birds are they're easy as well. They're ones that we get, the more common ones that you would see are the Cornish cross, are these giant white birds. They're literally bred to grow fast, and so they're not very fast animals, like, moving around. They're pretty easy to catch, they're not fast, they're kinda lazy, they just wanna sit around, eat, and poop all day. But what we do is we do get ours out in grass. We don't a lot of times, like, what you would like in most other, like, meat what are they called? Like animal
Like poultry
poultry
houses.
yes, thank you. They never see sunlight, never see grass, they're so, like, with the meat that you get at, like, the big box grocery stores, whatever, definitely not gonna be as great, whereas ours, like, when we do our Cornish crosses, again, we probably break even at the end of the day, don't you think?
Yeah.
When we're just feeding our own family, we probably break even, but the difference is that we know where it lived, like, they live on our property, on the grass, they get moved every single day, they have a fresh patch of grass and sunshine every single day, and just the output that we get when it comes to butcher time is just nothing can compare to that the flavor, the quality, vitamins and nutrients and everything compared to what you get at the store.
Yeah.
And I would say the first part of the hens totally relates to that as well. Like, that goes with that, like, the coop thing and blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah. The next one though, that's not break even is actually much better, and also easy. People don't really think about it. And this is again, I think we're a testament to how easy it is pigs. So that was something like we only have been doing pigs for 2 years or so now,
Mhm.
just about 2.5 years. I had never done it before. Mary obviously had never done it before. And we went kind of
We
into
went 0 to 100 with pig.
like, we were like a whole breeding operation, so, like, that
Yeah.
you don't need to do that. I think the easy way to do it with pigs is getting, like, a feeder pig. So, pigs typically, again, it's shorter life cycles in the sense that what you wanna do is, you normally get them as, like, an 8-week-old piglet, you raise them up to, like, 6 to 8 months old,
Depending on the breed.
and then you bring them to the butcher. But again, so easy,
Mhm.
very, very low maintenance, very low costs,
They're
like,
very smart.
they're smart, but again, like, the idea with them is that, like, they know like, they have bad eyesight, which is kind of a fun fact. So you can have 1 electric fence line, basically. You can like, we have 2, but you can have maybe 1 or 2, lines of electric fence, a little electric fence charger, and then some kind of shelter to keep them out of the rain, and then a water and a feeder. And so that's all you really need.
And those
Again,
are all one-time costs too.
yeah, so you do
The
that.
fencing, the feeder, the shelter, that's all one-time costs. So, like, the first time you do a pig, you might lose a little bit, but after that first time, you're immediately
Yeah,
breaking even if not making money.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think with that, pigs are just so easy. Like, I think I saw something a while ago where it's like you might have to budget 1 hour per week per pig, and,
Mhm.
like, even that is probably more than you actually need. Like, so what we do is if you do feeders, for example, like a feed like, when you feed the pigs in bulk, so, like, if we have a feeder that can hold 1,500 pounds, so I filled that once a month, and then, like IBC tank, so 275-gallon IBC tank is their waterer. Same thing, filled it maybe once a month.
And that fed the once a month, that fed with, like, 8 7, 8 pigs
Yeah.
a month,
Yeah, so that
basically.
so that like, that was again, filled that up once a month, that was took me 30 to 45 minutes to fill it up. Same thing with the water. The only things that I'd have to do, like, the time commitment is, like, checking on them, making sure they're okay. Obviously, you can do the same thing, you can dump table scraps, all that kind of fun stuff. Checking the fence lines, like, again, they typically are pretty good. Once they know that where the fence is, they won't actually test it again.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, just in case, especially, smaller pigs are a little bit more skittish. Checking the fence lines, so, like, if weeds grow up, you might have to, like, trim around the fence lines, but again, the input in terms of time, extremely minimal, where we were raising I think at the most we had 13 pigs or 14, some crazy
Yeah,
number of
some
pigs.
large number. Mhm.
Eh
But even that seemed manageable, though. Isn't that crazy?
yeah,
It just I mean, even that you think, "Oh my gosh, 13, 14 pigs, I could never." Even, "Oh my gosh, 2 or 3 pigs, I could never." You could. That's the thing is I feel like 2 pigs is equivalent to, like, 40 chickens.
yeah,
Like, that's I mean, right?
yeah,
Or
it's
less. I mean, the pigs are so when we first moved to this property, Noah was talking about pigs right away, and I was like, "Okay, let's just slow her down, baby. I don't wanna do pigs right now. Like, let's calm it down." Well, then I go to Iowa for a funeral, and I come back, and he told me he was gonna get 2 feeder pigs, meaning 2 weaned piglets that you raise for, like, anywhere between 5, 6, 7 months. Butcher, right? Great. I was expecting to come home to 2 piglets. I pull up at 9 o'clock at night. There are 2 piglets, yes, but there are also Sherman and Dorothy, our beloved sow and boar. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "I cannot believe you right now." And, he really tried to convince me, and I told him, I said, "Listen, at this point, I'm now 100 gazillion percent out. This is on you." And he's like, "Alright, sounds good. That sounds great." I think he's being tricky. I think he knew that Mary was gonna do nothing. He knew if I don't ask Mary to do anything, if I don't have her I didn't do any I didn't water, I didn't feed. I'd say, "Hey, by the way, your pigs need X, Y, and Z." I literally was like, "I'm not involved in this." Not once did he complain, not once did he get angry. He took it full on and was like, "Yep, that sounds good. They're my pigs." And this little turkey over here, sure enough, by March, so a few months later, 5 months later, it was almost time to butcher. I was like, "Ugh, stop. Okay. Okay, I get it. I really like the pigs now. I really like them a lot." And now I'm the one that's sad that we don't have pigs this winter.
yeah,
I love the pigs. And especially because they are smart, and if you get them as babies, you don't have to be as nervous with them, especially I mean, Sherman and Dorothy, I never went in the pen with them because they were so big, and again, I have a thing with animals, I just a little nervous. But the piglets, when you get them when they're so small, I felt so comfortable walking in there, the pen when they were 250, 300 pounds because they knew me, I knew them as, like, from babies growing up. They are gentle, and they're smart, and they can be kind, and they're fun to watch, they're fun to interact with. Our kids love learning about the whole life cycle of the pig situation. They love learning about what they eat, how they eat, like, they took it on full on of, like, having to feed the pigs every single night with us, and, like, it was a whole family affair. We'd get out there together, the kids would help out with everything. So that's the other thing, we didn't talk about that with chickens, but chickens and pigs both are great animals for kids, I think.
Mhm.
Great animals for kids. I mean, you see little 5 or 6-year-olds in the 4-H fairs working a pig, you know what I mean? Like, working with a pig in the whatever you wanna call it, the arena. I mean, they're easy. They're um, just great for kids.
Yeah. No, I think and one caveat there too is like the feeder pigs, I think are the best first time. Like I would not recommend doing the breeding pair right off the bat. I think there's couple more things. Like obviously, like Mary was saying, like the bigger pig, I think is number one. Like when they're breeder pair, they're a bigger pig, and again, they're not really dangerous per se. Like sometimes the boar can get a little bit more testy, but like the bigger danger there is more so around the fact that the boar was 800 pounds. So like if
Mhm.
he bumped into you by accident, like that could throw you. Like
Yeah.
whereas, like, when you raise the feeder pigs, like, you typically bring them to the butcher at 300 pounds, which again is not tiny, but also, like, it's more manageable, and again, they know you versus, like, the mom and papa pig can get a little bit more aggressive, but even then, like, aggressive being a very relative term,
Snorty. They just get snorty.
yeah,
Huffy puffy.
but again, I think
Get a little huffy puffy.
super easy. So again, caveat there is, like, starting with, like, the feeder pigs, so again, like, you do it for a short period of time, you can call it quits when you're all done, like, 6 months is not a long period of time to
Yeah,
have any kind
it's
of
a
animal.
short time commitment for sure
So,
with a great output.
yeah, so I think
The
definitely
product is worth it.
definitely would recommend pigs, and then also too on the utilitarian side, like we've used them. Like there's ways to use them as kind of like the regenerative agriculture, where you can use them as ways to help till up the land, and then have plant seeds behind and a lot of stuff like that.
With
They
our
do a lot of
pasture,
rooting.
yeah.
So we basically I was moving around in 1 acre segments, and they were rooting it all up and digging it up, and then I went back through and planted grass seed
Yeah.
to help prep the pasture. So highly recommend pigs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sure, technically, if you have a concrete slab, you could do that, but that said, we do not recommend doing that. Pigs are natural what do you wanna call them?
Rooters,
What?
rooters.
Rooters, thank you, I said brooders, I'm like, "That's not right." They are. Pigs are natural rooters, and so, you have um, this whole generation of, like, large livestock farmers with, like, pigs or whatever, and they have these ginormous barns that they stink. I mean, you've driven past one before. They stink, and pigs are in there on concrete, and it's not bad, it's just not what they're naturally meant to do. Pigs are naturally meant to be in the soil, in the dirt, and rooting things up. And again, like, that makes such a big difference in not only the land, but also the quality of the product you're gonna get at the very end of the day. I mean, we don't have concrete slabs, obviously, and even if we did, I think we would still prefer to have ours out in the field constantly in their natural state, really.
Yeah.
It's better for them, it's better for us, better for the environment, better for the everything.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too is that like these animals, like the natural way to raise them is also the cheaper way. Like we don't
Yeah,
have to pour a concrete slab. Like they'd rather be out in dirt, and same with chickens. Like they'd rather be like they have a dirt floor in the chicken coop now. So again, they'd rather be in that type of situation versus like the more expensive option, which is technically might be easier to maintain, but on the flip side, it's not kind of their natural state, and so it's kind of going the ebbs and flows of the natural cycles. I think
yeah,
is the big thing there. But
yeah.
the third animal, that we would recommend that made the top 3 list that we're talking about today, left field, bees.
Mhm.
Mer
I'm afraid of bees, but I'm on board with bees.
Yes, so bees, low like, all the trend here is, like, low time commitment, like, relatively low startup costs, and, like, I think high like, it's the commitment to output ratio, I think is the big thing here, so, like, or risk reward ratio, so bees, the beauty of bees is relatively low startup cost. So to put a whole hive together, maybe 150 bucks. And again, you use that forever. So that's big. To buy a new, like either a nucleus, so nuke, or a package bees, like it's now probably about 150 bucks. So like to start that up, typically you might want to do two. So like all in for two hives, it's $600, give or take. So yeah, like, it's making sure that the queen has kind of what she needs, the bees are collecting enough nectar. If there's pests, then obviously there's, like, some mitigation you have to do with that, or if obviously, like, it's a slow time of the season, like, adding some sugar water, like, things along those lines, but again, the actual maintenance of beehives is pretty low. Again, the reward of it is huge, so if you already have gardens or you're putting gardens in, like, one of the biggest problems is pollination that is gonna help your output tremendously. So that's a huge win there. And then obviously the other one is honey. So, typically you don't collect the first year, it would be more the second year, but a hive can do anywhere like on the very, very low end is 40, 50 pounds of honey, all the way up to 100 pounds of honey a year per hive. Which we were just doing the math before this, and so typically in most stores, it's gonna be anywhere between 8 and $10 per pound. So when you multiply that out, 50 to 100 pounds, like, that's a huge, return on your
And
investment.
that's only, like, honey from the store. Now if you're talking local, organic, whatever, that price is gonna go even up if you wanna sell it.
Yeah,
So
so
you'll make a tons of money on honey if you want.
and also on top of that too, like, the medicinal benefits of honey, like, for your whole own family, I think there's a lot of
Mhm.
benefits there, but I think, again, bees, not a huge startup cost, not a huge time investment. The reward that you get if it all goes well is really, really high. Even if it goes moderately well, you don't get, like, we haven't collected honey from our hives yet, but, like, we had a huge crop this year in our gardens, and I, like, obviously can attribute that to the bees.
Yeah, I think so too.
And yeah, just all in all, I think a really, really good, animal to keep. Moving over to animals you should not start with, and again, the preface here is you should not start with first. So we're gonna flip around what I had on the outline. Number 1 is cows. So
Oh, okay, you don't wanna do okay, yeah.
I'll do that one second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you don't
So
wanna start with cows.
I do wanna start with cows.
I'm sorry. I meant to say you don't wanna start with cows as your
Oh,
first animal.
yes.
You
So
wanna start with cows for
yeah,
the conversation, not for the first animal in
yeah.
Homestead.
So, okay, so the reason I preface that is that so again, we're actually in the process of, like, building a pasture to get cows. So, like, obviously, I think cows are really, really good. The thing is, though, like, pigs as an example, even at their very biggest, maybe 600 pounds, and that's if you have, like, a full adult who is a breeding boar. So, like, that is obviously big, but, like, that's still manageable. Like, you can still kind of get them. They're really, really docile. They're easy to control. Cows now then kind of bring it to the nth degree.
Mhm.
1,200, 1,800, 2,000, 3,000 pounds. So when you get to that size, it's a lot harder to control. There's also a lot more infrastructure. So instead of it being just electric fence, you need at minimum a 5-strand electric fence, but also probably field fencing. You need to have pasture for them to be raised on, and that's just for beef cows. So, like, beef cows is the lighter of the 2 loads, and even then, there's a ton, like, thousands of dollars of infrastructure, that you need to kinda put into place for cows, and so, hard to control, obviously, and so they're like, obviously, like, if you have never done animals before and you jump straight to a cow, it's gonna be extremely difficult.
And
Then
again, it looks Pinteresty, it looks beautiful to have a cow. "Oh, I wanna have a dairy cow, I wanna do beef," whatever, like, that's great, but, like, there's a huge, huge investment, financial investment you have to be willing to put in, and then also to know, like, cows are not cheap, so even to buy a calf, I mean, it depends on where you get it from, but let's just say $1,000, that's probably too low in some places, too high in other places, but just say $1,000 per calf, right? Well, then if the cow gets sick, you gotta pay for a livestock vet because, again, pigs and chickens, you can get away with. At least we did. We got away with it. We don't really need to
like,
do
you
livestock
lose a pig
vets.
and it's like, you're out $200. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, that
You lose
sucks, but
a cow dies, you're out at least $1,000, and that sucks. So there's a huge financial investment you have to be willing to, put up front and or have in savings in case worst case scenario happens.
yeah, so I think and then that almost gets amplified too when you go dairy cow. So, like, a beef cow, a little simpler because all they need to do is eat grass. You don't really need to, like, grain is typically optional, and typically you actually wouldn't recommend grain. Um, but then if it's winter, so typically you have to raise them for a minimum of a year if you get a 6-month-old cow, it's maybe 18 months. And with that, then you need to overwinter them, so it means you need to buy, like, dozens of round bales of hay, or, like, probably per cow, you probably need to get 4 to 5 round bales of hay, depending on where you live. Like, in North Carolina, you have less because there's shorter winters, but then if you live up north, you'd have to get more 'cause longer winters. You typically need at least 3 acres of pasture, per cow, give or take. Again, depends on how big your pasture is, but, like, I've spent 2 years now building pasture for our cows, and, like, we're gonna have 3.5, 4 acres of really, really thick, lush pasture, but even then, it's gonna be a little bit tight on 2 cows, and so we're gonna probably have to supplement them with some extra hay and grain and stuff. So that's, obviously, there's a lot of things that go into that, and then dairy cows is the next level because
My dream.
it's
I do want a dairy cow someday, but in this season with all the little kids, I'm like, "No." That is even if we had the barn, even if we had the financial means, I'm like, I think I would rip my hair out if I had 4 kids, 5 and under, and having to milk a cow at least once a day if we're not calf sharing, but twice a day usually. I yeah. I
Yeah, well,
could
and
not.
then they're a little bit more, like,
I
prissy when
want
it
one.
comes to the feed, so you need to be a little bit more specific with the feed when it comes to a dairy cow.
Mhm,
They're even more expensive because typically you have to get a registered cow, or you would wanna get a registered cow if you want,
mhm.
like, a Jersey as an example, and so
Those
that
definitely do have vet checks too.
yeah, then you have to have regular vet checks. If you wanna milk the cow, then you have to get the cow either have a bull brought in and or get it, artificially inseminated, and so that's another expense, and so the expenses for dairy cows are even more. So I think it's great in the grand scheme of things on the homestead. I think, again, not the first animal that I would go with. A, because of the investment, but then B, because of, like, the learning curve. If you don't have any experience with animals whatsoever, that's kind of jumping into the very, very deep end, and you will probably drown, and then you'll
Yeah.
quit, and then
And
it
you're
might
like,
ruin
"I
the
can't
experience.
homestead," and just, like, throw the towel in. It's like, that's not don't base it off of just the cows.
Yeah,
Don't do
so
it.
I think that's a big no-no.
It's coming for us. I am glad that Noah and I are typically 0 to 100 people, and we know that. We get that. We understand. But I'm really glad that we have taken the time with cows specifically,
Mhm.
because I would rather us take, like, 2 to 3 years to really prepare, and do it right versus, like, jumping into it and then totally regretting it and, like, having another wrench thrown in. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that our goal is next year's mid-year next year. That's our
Mid-year.
goal. We shall see. That's the goal.
Okay, then one that you should just never get ever.
Goats.
Goats.
Goats. Never get goats. Yes, they're cute. Yes, pygmies are cute. Yes, baby goats are cute. They're all fun. Goat yoga. Ah, it's so fun. Don't get goats. Don't get goats. They're useless animals. If you couldn't tell, I'm incredibly passionate about them and I love watching baby goats jump. I'm just saying, I'll be the first to tell you, watching baby goats jump is the cutest thing ever. Okay? It's pretty cute. We can all agree on that. Goats, useless animals. Unless you're going to milk them or you need them temporarily to clear a field, useless animals, just useless animals.
Well, and even then, like, then you look at, again, the risk reward, like, milking them, like, you might get a quart, like, whereas a cow,
If
you might
that.
get 4 gallon or a couple of gallons per day, and so, like, you're doing the same amount of time as you would milk a cow, and obviously the cost is lower, so, like, the upside of goats is obviously they're a lot more mobile, they're smaller, you don't have to feed them as much as you would have to feed a cow, but the downside is that
Everything else.
you have to do the same amount, like, the time is gonna be just about the same with very little output.
They get out all the time.
Yeah, the
They
joke
get
is
out all they die for no reason. There's everything.
yeah, they're not as bad as sheep, which we'll talk about in a second, but, yeah, goats are a little bit more, like, kind of, they can die and have, like, random things happen to them, and then the running joke is that, like, if you have something that could hold water, you might be able to keep a goat contained. Like, we had, again, back to our old house, that's when we had goats. This is going full circle and this on purpose. That's why I wanted to put this at this point. But, in Connecticut, we had almost an acre fenced in, so it was 4.5 foot fence, so pretty tall. They had everything they'd ever wanna eat.
These the 2 boys.
Well, and then we expanded, I guess the story expanding
Well,
on.
we didn't finish out the 2 boy thing though. We had the 2 boys, and we got them in, like, in the early, like, right when we got married, actually, so that spring we got them. We're fresh out of marriage, Noah had back surgery, we thought, "Let's get goats." That was dumb. Don't know why we did that, but we got these goats to clear the field. They cleared the field. Well, then comes, like, October, November in Connecticut, and we're like, "Crap, it's too cold for them. What are we gonna do?" So we ended up, getting them butchered and processed, and I was like, I'm not eating goat." And Noah was like, "No, no, no, it's gonna be really good." Well, now at this point, I'm first trimester pregnant with our first baby. Smells and tastes. Let's just say I did not eat any of the goat, and Noah was just he was it. He ate the goat all the time. Did not taste great, did it?
No, it was fine, but again, like, if they're not raised on, like, better grasses and stuff, then it's gonna be a little bit more gamey tasting, so, like, that was problem number 1, but then
A year later,
a year later, again, the
Noah
thought
decides,
well, the thought process here's the thing, though, the thought process was, again, we went the first ones in with almost no thought process, it was just clear the field, and I'm like, "Okay, no, actually, we do wanna make this more utilitarian, I wanna milk goats." And
oh, I
so,
remember that. He
um
tells me, "But Mary, you can learn how to milk a goat if you want." I said, why would I ever wanna learn how to milk a goat when I'm nursing babies? I would never wanna milk a goat."
and number 1, really dumb. So we had an old family doctor at the time, and he was so attached to his goats, and he's like, I have 6 goats I need to get rid of," and I'm like, and he was just giving the sob story. He's like, "I just really want them to go to a good home," and I'm like, "Hmm,
"Hey, Mary."
I only got 4 of the 6, to be fair."
That's right, 3
Um,
girls and 3
3 girls and 1, castrated boy,
Oh,
remember?
because the buck came later on.
Yeah, and so well, 'cause then yeah, so it was again, this is starting was
That's
kind of starting
right.
attention was, like, take it off his hands and then keep clearing that field. Yeah, there's one fly that flies in this shed that it literally just lands on your f does it for me for video calls all the time. Um, and then we ended up getting buck goat.
Well, so you had the 4, the 3 females, and the castrated male. We downsized in half, so then we just had 2 females. Where did the I mean, you got rid of 2 somewhere at some
I
point.
gave him away. They we have
Gave them away. Then we had these 2 females, and then this is when Noah was like, "Oh, I think I wanna start breeding goats." And I was like or milking goats, and I was like, "Why on God's green earth do you want to milk goats?" I'm at this point, our oldest is a baby. We are pregnant with our second at this point, and I'm like, "Why would you?" Okay, they're not my goats. Noah's like, "Great, not my your goats. They're my goats. Great, sounds good." Okay. So then Noah finds our buck. I don't remember what his name was.
Apollo,
I think he was Satan's little buddy, honestly think.
pretty
Let
much.
me tell you why? Should I tell you why?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you why this buck ended the goat game for me. Number 1, the 2 other female goats got out literally all the time, and we lived on this road, crazy busy road on the way to the, university campus, and the goats would get out conveniently during school drop-off or school pickup time when there's a gazillion cars driving, and they would get out in the road and stand there.
And on top of that too, like, they had an acre of food that they could eat, and we fed them grain, but they wanted the food that was across the street.
Across the street. Only though in the middle of rush hour traffic. So that was great. So whatever. So these goats always got out. Noah then decides, let's start breeding these and milking these goats for whatever reason. Great. He decides to get a buck from somewhere. Don't even know where. They come home and get this buck. Great. They're living their life. The buck and the 2 females. Everything's going great. Everyone's getting out all the time. This is during COVID. So like Noah's working from home. So thankfully I could look out the window and I'd be like, "Hey, by the way, your goats are out. They're in the road again." So he can get the goats back inside. An hour later, "Hey, by the way, your goats are out. They're eating the apple trees in the front yard again." Noah gets up from his meeting, comes back up, whatever. The cycle just goes and goes and goes and goes. Goats and goats and goats. It's kind of funny. One day, our daughter is I am 38 weeks pregnant. I'm 38 weeks pregnant. Okay. Our first daughter is 14-ish, 15-ish months old, okay? She's a baby. Noah had been working at home since she was born because of COVID. He had not been in the office at all. The one day in like 16 to 18 months that he went to the office or that he went to the office, this whole story unfolded. So he's in the office an hour and a half away, and I'm at home, and sure enough, I'm 38 weeks pregnant. Look outside and see the goats, all 3 of them in the road. Cars are honking and honking. Now, I'm afraid of these goats because they were what kind were they?
Nubian.
Nubian goats. They're like as big as a dog. They're pretty big.
Well, like a big dog,
A big
like
dog.
a German Shepherd.
Like a big dog. Okay. And they're goats. They're not, these aren't dogs. These are goats. And I'm like, well, crap, Noah's gone. Like he's an hour and a half away. Like I by association, technically they're my goats too right now. I have to figure something out. So whatever, I get outside, leave my baby inside while she is eating her breakfast. 15 months old, 38 weeks pregnant. Just want to really reiterate the fact that I was 30 weeks pregnant. Go out there, try to get these goats back in their pen. Got the females in. They went in. It took a little bit, but I'm like shaking because I'm so nervous around these animals. Got the females in. All of a sudden, one of the females tried to, I don't know if she tried to butt out or something, but I tried to like close the door on her. This buck, he did not like that because his females were in heat and he did not like that I was doing this. He starts, I kid you not, bolting it towards me, running at full blast. I'm wearing Crocs. I'm largely pregnant. It's like 8 in the morning. I am booking it to the house, running, because I'm scared. Like, I'm so afraid for my life right now. I run into the house. He runs me to the door. My Crocs, I honestly wish I would have had it on camera. My Crocs literally flew off my feet. They're somewhere in the yard, and I'm booking it. I don't know how he didn't take me down. I get to the door, I shut the door, and his head, boom, into the side. I just hit my head hard. Boom, into the side of our door. And I was like, holy Hannah. I don't think I've ever had a panic attack in my life. I don't think I've ever had a panic attack. That was the one and only time I've had a panic attack in my life. I call Noah, could barely breathe because I'm like, if I fell, I could have hurt the baby in my belly. Like, the animal could have hurt me, like, my baby inside could have choked up, like, the whole situation. I call him, and I am hyperventilating. I don't think you could understand me. I told him what happened, and I was like, "Get rid of the goats or before I will." And he's like, "Yep, got it. This weekend, we're getting rid of all the goats." And sure enough, 4 days later, 5 days later, gone.
You know, and it works out because I then got a job down in North Carolina, so we had like would have to get rid of them anyway. But
Yeah, actually, that is funny how that works. Like 2 weeks later, not even, maybe a week later.
yeah, so
That
this
was a
whole
long story.
this whole thing was really a guise for Mary to get the goat story off of her chest. But
Oh my gosh, it totally was. I've been talking about this goat story for years.
um
Horrible,
all right.
horrible.
So because we've been talking as because obviously this is what happens when we haven't talked to you guys in a month is we have a lot to say. So I'm gonna rapid fire through some other ones because obviously that's not
Don't
a
talk too fast, though. Rapid fire,
like a measured rapid fire.
like 2 or 3 of them.
So I think there's a couple other ones that I think are good. I again, not our choice, but again, I think could be good and are relatively easy. So number one, rabbits. I think rabbits are really easy. They're really small. They eat they basically only eat grass. You could raise them for meat. Obviously, you can raise them for pets. Really, really niche. And then again, risk reward. So they can die a lot more easily. They tend to die a lot more easily. And then when you do butcher them, you get maybe 2 pounds of meat. So it's like you put in like 12 weeks of work, get 2 pounds of meat. Again, if you do it at scale, you're doing 10, 15 rabbits at a time. That works out. But again, not our cup of tea at the moment.
No.
Ducks, another one. It's like duck eggs are a big one. Really good. Duck meat obviously tastes really good. They stink so bad. They need water and then they poop in the water. It's disgusting. You have to clean it out all the time. It is a good fertilizer, which is again another reason you could do it. But then like my parents had ducks when I was growing up, Scovy ducks, which are actually a really cool duck. But like underneath where we parked the cars, it was just a solid layer of like 2 inches of poop because they would hang out
Disgusting.
under the day. It was disgusting. They're the stinkiest animal of all time.
They're again, they're cute. My parents have a couple ducks. They're fun to watch, not gonna lie.
And
Don't
again,
get
duck
roped into it, people.
again, well, and this is not saying yes, no. Like it's like they're more like a meh. Like they're not like a hard no to start, hard yes.
Yeah.
They're not the easiest and they're not the hardest. They're somewhere
We
in the
won't
middle.
ever have ducks.
Guinea
We
hens,
won't.
another one. So
Yeah, we won't
guinea
have
hens,
those.
they're more of just a you add a couple in with your chickens. They're really, really good at ticks. So if you live in a really tick heavy area, they're good. They're also very loud, which is both a good and bad thing. So like the bad thing is like just loud all the time. Really pretty to look at. But the loud thing does help because they're kind of really good natural alarm systems for your chickens. But again, really loud, not super utilitarian. Other things like, trying to think what else, sheep. I wouldn't
Sheep, yeah.
sheep again, super easy, way easier to kill than goats even, so they're a little bit less hardy. Really good at keeping grass down, and so again, if you use them in the kind of utilitarian way, you can keep grass down, you can make your own wool, you can have mutton, but again, harder to keep alive. Just again, risk reward is kind of like, again, not super great in terms of that ratio. What else did I have on there?
Geese.
Geese, same
Great
thing.
with for as guardians, though. We've seen that. I remember our neighbors in Connecticut, they had guard geese, I should say, and I was afraid to walk by their house because he would come bolting at me, and I'm like, "Dang, he's doing his job," but
And
I
again,
don't besides that, though, what's the point of geese?
Eggs,
What's the
meat,
point?
very again, and then they're meaner, so if you have kids, geese, not a good idea.
Yeah, no. You had, quail and guinea fowl.
Yeah, and so,
Or you already said
y
guineas. Quail.
quail again, very
What's the
like,
point of quail?
quail eggs are really delicious,
Yeah, but they're, like, this big. It's like a half bite.
but, like, you sell if you so those are good, like, moneymaker wise, like, you could like, a lot of people really like quail eggs, not me, but some people do.
Do they taste like chicken eggs?
Yeah, they're I think they're a little sweeter,
I would need, like, 12 of 6 of them to feel satisfied, I
well,
feel.
the thing is, like, I even saw at a local grocery store down here, they're selling quail eggs for, like, $9 for, like, normal ones for a dozen. So, like, you can make some decent money on them. You can also butcher quail, but again, you get, like, half a pound of meat,
What a
maybe,
waste. That sounds like a
and
waste.
also,
Not
like,
dissing you if you've got quail people, sorry.
very easy to kill. Like, they're super, super easy to kill. Like, my brother tried to raise quail, we got 100, everyone died within 2 weeks.
You may as well just, like, start raising, like, robins.
Yeah, so
That just doesn't
yeah,
make
so,
any
like, again,
sense.
like, it's easier to kill, the reward you get out of it, not super high, so again, not again, I wouldn't like, if you have a garage and that's all you have, quail could be a good little thing to raise because they don't take up any space,
Mhm.
but again, you're not really getting a lot out of them. So, alright, that was everything
That
we
was a long one. Bless your heart if you still stood with us. We probably could talk about more
yeah,
about raising fish or raising kids, but
yeah.
Trout.
That's another thing. I do wanna do aquaponics one day, but I will save that for another
That'll be
episode.
another episode because we'd probably talk your ear off like we do most times. But anywho, that's what we're talking about this week. So if you guys like the episode, great. Share it, respond. What do you do? Share, comment, like, subscribe, follow, all the things. I'm trying to think. I'm like, that's all the things. So, anywho, we're going to let you guys go with that. Those couple thoughts. Share with us in the comments. What animals have you tried? Have you not tried? Do you want to try? Kind of give us an idea. Give us an inside scoop so maybe we can reconsider some of our choices. If you agree with us, if you don't agree with us, we want to hear your thoughts. So,
And if you like goats, lose our number. No,
absolutely.
I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. You can follow along or subscribe at fidelisterrafarm.com.